All right, folks. So welcome to this video on using Adobe Photoshop. This is going to be kind of an intro video that will show you how to take different files, combine them together, remove the backgrounds from certain files so that we can stack them, or we can create layers with those files and then stack them on top of each other so that they look like they're a part of one image. So you should be able to find the files that I'm going to use in the link in the description. And so I'm going to just go ahead and jump right in it. You should have downloaded them. We're in Photoshop right now. I'm going to hit this open button, or you can go file open. Either way. I'm going to look for the file that is titled plate. That is going to be our base image. So we're going to build everything on top of here. But before we get started, I'm going to go up to Window, Workspace, and just make sure yours is set to Essentials. And then go Window, Workspace if necessary again and tell it to reset Essentials. So it puts everything where we need it. Then if I click, oops, let me get back in there. I accidentally clicked a little too far. If you go right about this little top right of this arrow tool, which whatever tool you have selected here, that's going to be what's here. But if you click just top right of it, right click, it'll tell you you can reset all tools. I'm going to tell it go ahead. And then I'm going to go ahead and do file open. And we're going to grab the bread. So we've got our bread file. Right now, our bread file is on its own page. So what we're going to do is first, we're not going to want this white background when we bring it onto the plate. Otherwise, we're going to wind up with a white background on top of our plate. So we're going to try our first selection tool. And so I'm going to go to the fourth tool down on our toolbar. So we have our toolbar on the left. Whatever tool you select, then you get the properties up here at the top. Over here, we have some other properties that we can mess with throughout the project. So I'm going to click and hold on the fourth tool. So if you see any with these little arrows at the bottom right, that is another menu below there. So if I click and hold on the fourth, I'm going to choose the magic wand. So the magic wand, the property that really matters is your tolerance. So basically, if I click with the magic wand, and this one's going to be easy because it's all one shade of white. Well, except actually, if you look right down here, there is the shade of gray where the shadow is. So this tolerance, that is what allows you to tell it, okay, right now I told it a tolerance of 32. So whatever pixel, if I zoom in, whatever pixel I wound up selecting, it had a threshold of up to 32 that it could go to and select other pixels near it. And if they were close enough to that same shade, it selected them. These were too far off. So let's just, for fun, we'll try the magic wand. I'm going to set it to a tolerance of 50. And I'm going to click again. So it got a little closer. If I hold shift and click in that gray, you'll notice it now includes that gray. And so it's doing a tolerance of 50 with the gray options as well as the white option. So holding shift allowed us to add more. Another thing that we're going to do while we're in here is you'll notice once I selected it, it put those little ants around there, or I just say they look like little marching ants. Right now we've got the white selected. We don't want that. We want the actual bread. So what I'm going to go do is go up to select, inverse, and it's going to flip my selection. Now, another way we could mess with this is if we go down here to the bottom of our toolbar, this little quick mask, if I click on that, puts this nice red frame around. So red means it's not going to select it. The actual color, that is going to be selected. So if I go to my paintbrush and I have black and white here, black paints red. So that means I could cause it to not select something. If I flip this by hitting this little arrow, it will paint white, which then will allow that to be selected. So you could come in here and touch up if necessary using the quick mask. But I'm going to go ahead and click that back because I've got a nice selection. I'm going to grab my move tool, which is this top one in the top left. I'm going to click and hold with the left mouse button. Don't let go. I'm going to drag up to plate, keep holding. Going to drag down to the plate while still holding, and then I'm going to let go. And now we've got a slice of bread with no background. It's a little big, so what I'll do is, because I brought it in, it's its own layer. If I grab these corners, any one of these corners, it'll allow me to scale proportionately. If I hold shift while scaling, it will allow me to distort it. We don't want to do that. We want to keep it proportionate. And that's the left mouse click and hold and then drag to the size that you want. Then just click anywhere in the center of the bread, drag it where you want. I'm just going to put it right in the middle of our plate. That's what those little guides were. And if I go to just outside at one of the corners, about a 1/4 inch out, you get this curved arrow that'll allow me to rotate my bread. All right, so now we've got that, but I want to keep us organized over here. So I'm going to go to background layer, double click. It's going to bring up this, ask us for a name. I'm going to call it plate because we want to keep our menu. Yes, it's easy to see with these images, but if we were handing this off to somebody, we'd want it to be easy to tell exactly what layer did what. So I'm going to click on layer 1. I'm going to call that bread. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do File, Open, and let's go ahead and grab Tomato. So we got our tomato. Now this time we're going to do a little differently. I'm not going to get rid of the white just yet. I'm actually going to grab and hold the tomato. So left mouse click and hold, drag up to plate, drag down and drop. It's a big tomato. For this particular piece, I'm going to try to get this tomato centered on the screen. And we're going to go to the 4th tool again, click and hold, and this time we're going to do the quick selection tool. So I'm going to select that. And then up here, you can change your size. So you have your size here. I'm going to click this drop down, increase my size. You'll see what it does by hovering over. You'll see how big it is. Hardness, think of it like a pencil. 100% means your edges of your drawing or your lines that you're drawing are going to be hard like a pencil. If you lower that, it starts to become more like a paintbrush. So it'll be thicker where that little crosshair is in the middle of my brush, but then it starts to get thinner and more faded as you get further to the outside edge of the brush. But I'm going to drag, left mouse click and drag around the red of my image, touching on as much of the different image color as possible, trying to avoid hitting any of the white or gray. And that'll just select what looks red. So again, that is our quick selection tool. It's on the same menu as the magic wand, but it allows you to just left mouse click and drag over everything. The next thing I want to show you with this is if I go up here to this select and mask button, it gave us a pretty good selection. But if I needed to touch it up, I could go in here. I could click on this drop down and choose overlay, which gives us that pink overlay again. And same thing, I could go ahead and grab this brush and I could paint wherever I needed to either add. So if I just paint regularly, it adds to the selection. If I want to get rid of something, like actually I want to add this little hair of red right there. So I'm going to try to see if I can do it. So I just hover over it. So you can use this to clean it up. Let's say I accidentally did over here and I want to get rid of that. Well, if I hold Alt, it'll allow me to paint back over it. All right. Once you've got your touch-ups done, you hit OK. Now we've got our tomato. Now this time we're going to try something different. And everything that we're doing pretty much is called non-destructive editing from this point forward, where I'm not going to destroy the file. Like right now, the bread, with the way I did it, I'd have to go back to my original bread file to get back to where I had the white background. Here, this one does not have it. It is an image without a background. This tomato, because I've got it selected, I'm going to go to this bottom of the layers palette over here, and there's this white rectangle with a black circle. If I click on it, it is going to create a mask, a layer mask. And so anything that wasn't selected gets basically whited out. Then I can grab my move tool. And if I have the layer selected, I can grab the corners and I can just shrink it down proportionately. Hit enter, and I like that. But I want 2 tomatoes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first rename this tomato. Then with that layer selected, I'm going to click on these 3 lines in the top right of the layers palette. And I'm going to tell it to duplicate layer and hit OK. Then I'm going to drag that tomato down with my move tool and kind of put them side by side. All right, so you now have tomato, tomato copy, and that's fine. Now we need our lettuce. So I'm going to go ahead and do open, lettuce, and do kind of the same thing. I'm going to drag this. So left mouse click hold, drag up to plate, drag down and drop. It's a little big, so I'm going to grab it by the corner and scale it. And this one, I think, because we have so much gray, we'll try the magic wand, see if it's easy. So I'll click and grab the magic wand, click in the white, gets most of it. So really we just have to go around and try to click. Oopsie. Now we're running into this issue where this shade is a little too close to these to where it's trying to select it. So let's try to lower our tolerance. We'll click on the white again. Then I'll click in here. Still having trouble. So that lets me know this isn't quite the tool I want to use. So I'm going to click this deselect button. If you don't see it, you can just go to select, deselect. And I'm going to go ahead and go back and grab my quick selection tool. And I'm just going to paint over the lettuce, trying to get as close to the edge with the greens. It did pick up some of the colors that I don't want, so I'm going to have to get rid of those. And that would be where I go into this select and mask tool. Go into select and mask. We see that I've got a little too much stuff there. So what I'm going to do, grab my zoom tool. If I have the magnifying and I zoom in, I can zoom in on a spot, grab a brush. Oop, and I want to actually hold Alt because I want to remove kind of these shades. And you could spend a little more time on it. I'm just kind of rushing through to show you how to do it. But then hold Alt and you're kind of just trying to clean it up. Obviously, if I want it perfect, I need to shrink my brush because it's too big for this space. But then I get it the way I want, hit OK, and you'll see that it updates my selection. If I grab my zoom tool again, hold Alt, it'll let me zoom back out. And then just like we did previously, we're going to go with our layer selected. We're going to hit the layer mask and it's going to hide it. I'll grab my move tool, shrink it down, try to get it to fit on there. And actually, I don't like that it's covering the tomatoes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to name this layer lettuce. And then I'm going to left mouse click and hold over here on the lettuce layer. And I'm going to drag it down below tomato. That way they sit on top of it. All right, now we got bacon coming up. So I'm going to go to open, file open, bacon. I'm going to go ahead. I don't see, well, I see some shadow. We're going to try it. I'm going to try to use the magic wand again. And I'm going to select with shift held. I'm going to see if I can select some of these extra spaces to get it to finish selecting. So just grab your magic wand. Anywhere where you see these gray shades, go in there and try to select it by holding shift. And you should get a pretty decent selection around your bacon. And then I'm going to go to select inverse so that it only selects the bacon. Grab my move tool, click and hold, drag up to plate, and drop. And so now I've got, and you'll notice it put the bacon below the tomatoes, and that's because I had the lettuce layer selected, so it put it right above that layer. I'm going to go ahead and shrink my bacon. Again, holding shift skews it. Not holding shift keeps it proportionate. And I kind of actually like that. I like it below the tomato so you can still see them. So we got a little bit of our lettuce showing, our bread, bacon, tomato. I'm going to go ahead and call this bacon. All right. Now we need a condiment. Some people do a BLT with bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayo. Some might do mustard. Some might do ketchup. I'm going to do mustard so it stands out really easily what I'm trying to show you. So I'm going to go to my tomato layer, tomato copy, select it. Down at the bottom of our layers palette, there is a plus sign. I'm going to click on that. That's going to add a layer. I'm going to call this mustard. Now, with the mustard layer selected, I'm going to go over and grab my brush tool. I want to make sure I like the size of the brush, which that one's not bad, but if I have to adjust it, I can go click on the size here, change the size, make the hardness 100. Then click down here on your foreground color, which would have been black generally. It defaults to black and white, but mine was yellow because I used it for something else. But I'm going to click on that color. I'm going to find me a good shade of mustard yellow. So I'm going to move up and down in this slider. And then when I get to the area I like, I'm going to drag around and pick me a color in here. Hit OK. Now I'm going to go ahead and just paint a little wavy stream of mustard. Now it does not look great yet, but because we made it its own layer, we can use some effects that Photoshop has. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here where this FX button is. I'm going to click it. I'm going to go up to bevel and emboss. And you'll see it starts to make it look a little 3D. You can play with the size if you need to. And then you can play with the soften to kind of make it look a little more natural. And so once you get it the way you like, just hit OK. All right, well, we're not going to eat our BLT like this. I'm going to go ahead and grab my bread layer, make sure it's selected, go up to these 3 lines again, and do duplicate layer, and it's going to be bread copy. It duplicates it right above the old one. So I need to select that layer, drag it up above everything. And now I have a sandwich. But I'm going to change it up a little because I want to mess with this one more time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the bread layer and I'm going to go to quick mask. And I'm going to grab my paintbrush and I'm going to put black on, and I'm going to up my size a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and paint two eyes and a happy face as if I was trying to make a fun sandwich for a kiddo. Now, then I'm going to hit the quick mask button and my selection's there. Now I'm going to go ahead and do select inverse. And then I'm going to hit the layer mask. Oops, my bad. I should not have done the inverse. I'm going to Control Z to get out of there, back to here. Then I'm going to click this and I'm just going to do this. I should not have done the inverse. There we go. So now I've got my happy face in my sandwich. I can see my mustard, my bacon, my lettuce, and tomato all in there. I may actually grab this layer, shift it up a hair, just so I can see also that other layer of bread underneath there, make it look a little more 3D. All right, so now we have a sandwich. We've utilized layers, we've utilized selection tools, masking. Now I want to save it. Well, if I want to save it for somebody else to be able to edit later, I would go to File, Save As. It'll default to plate because that was the first file I used. I'm going to call it sandwich.psd, which the PSD file will keep all of these layers, but not everybody's going to have Photoshop. So I may need to give them a final file. So I can go to File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. It's going to default to sandwich.png because that's what I called my PSD file. I'm going to hit Save. Now I've got a PNG that I can give to folks. And that's kind of the lesson. Just utilizing some of the key things that you will use in Photoshop when trying to edit things. So I think I may try to, in the future, show how to animate this using, maybe I take the file into Premiere or After Effects or something. But for right now, at least you've got an understanding of some of the basics of Photoshop. All right, hope that worked out for you. We'll see you in the next video. Good luck.